G'day and welcome back to the Built for Adventure podcast, where Chris and Rick sit down, answer the questions that come up in our Built for Adventure program, where busy dads are finding time to get adventurous, be the man they want to be, and build their perfect average day. If you want to learn how to be a part of Built for Adventure, drop us a comment, reach out to us on our socials, send us an email, and we'll hook you up with an invite to come check it out and be a part of the tribe. Now, let's get into the episode. Hey everyone, welcome to, well, I guess this could be called Space Builders podcast or the Built for Adventure podcast, but Rick and I are just going to do a weekly catch up and we're going to kind of do some Q&A and we're going to common questions we hear, try and answer them so we can help all dads, really, or help whoever's listening, all our thousands of listeners. Haha. What do you think, Rick?
Yes, sir. Ready. So I have a question for you here.
Yeah, man.
So what do you think is the biggest myth in your industry that you like to debunk?
I think it's a belief that, especially dads, to lose weight, they have to exercise more. And it's being talked about a lot, where I think like the whole idea of when you tell a parent to do more of something, they immediately go to like, I've got no time to do that. Like that's why there's so much friction to getting this stuff done. Where the way we do it at Build for Adventure is we keep it in silos. Fat loss, like if you want weight loss, fat loss is the food. You're already eating. You don't need any more time to do that. So we focus on dialing in like your food. So the way we kind of work is we go through a bit of like a hierarchy, like move as much as you can that you really enjoy that you can come back and do again tomorrow. We do that every day. That way it just builds momentum. Not so much that you destroy yourself and you can't do anything for 3 days. It's like little and often over the long haul, just build your capacity, whatever that is. For some dads I work with, it's like 5 minutes a day. For some dads, it's like, they could go for a 2-hour run and come back and do an hour workout the next day, which is kind of like what I'm like. But we get that in place. So what is it that you find it really easy and enjoyable to show up for? And that's the Built for Adventure part. And then we do the fueling for adventure, where we match your nutrition to the movement. So no matter how much you move, heaps or very little, you're able to eat in a way that's either going to allow you to get lean, or once you're lean enough, it improves your performance. I think that's the biggest thing I'd like to try and debunk with everyone that comes in the Build for Adventure program is like, because it always ends up being like, I just got to exercise more. I eat really well, I exercise more. It's like, no, they're two separate things. Train for training, train for fitness, train to improve your health markers. But nutritionally, you're already eating. We can make adjustments there to get you to get leaner without having to find time to fit in more training just because you need to get better results. Like, no, we could just tweak this. We're not going to tell you what to eat, but we can tweak what you eat, like the quantity, the amount of food you're eating to get you the results you want. That's the biggest myth I see, I reckon.
Yeah, I love that, Chris. I think that was one of the big aha moments for me. Like you separating out the nutrition from the workouts. I was like, whoa, makes sense.
Takes the stress away.
Definitely.
Like it stops going from like, I got to find time for this thing to like, oh no, if I can't get it, I'll just do something and I'll just match it.
Yeah. Your traffic light is a great way to sort of segment the workout with your time, right? So beautiful.
Yeah. What's the next one?
How did this myth originate and why does it persist?
I think it comes from a good place. And I do actually think like, yeah, most people we probably should. We don't want to shoot on everything, but we should get more movement. But when you have a new family or a family, a busy job, like I was just talking to a dad before, 10 plus hours a day, then he's got the kid duties in the afternoon. Like he probably can't go do the activity he wants to do till like 9 o'clock at night and he gets up probably like 5 a.m. So there's like what we know we should do and then there's real life. So yes, we probably should get 10,000 steps, or when it's more like 7,000 steps. And now they've changed it again to just go for a 10-minute walk after every meal. They keep changing the target. I think it's 150 minutes of exercise a week, intense exercise. Yes, all those things are cool. They're good standards to shoot for. But really, I think it's like putting the standard on people pushes more people away. When you can get leaner, work on your fitness and get stronger with as little as that 5 minutes a day concept that we talk about in Built for Adventure. Yes, we want you to expand to more because we want you to have a life of adventure. But you can do enough to get things moving in the right direction. Very, very, very little time. I think it pushes a lot of people back. Because it's not a myth. Like, yeah, we do need to do these things, but it's just for a lot of people, they can't see how to do it. And it's so hard to try and make it work. And it just turns them off straight away. I just try and think, I've got to go find an hour every day to do this exercise. And I've got to go swallow this crazy ass diet.
Yeah.
It's just so much to change and throw away what you're currently doing. When our approach is more like, yeah, show us what you're currently doing. We'll show you how to get results of that. Then we'll make changes as we go. And that seems to just reduce the friction to get started.
Yeah. I think, Chris, working with you, the whole idea is just collect your small wins every day, being consistent. So beautiful.
That's the stuff I look forward to each day, is seeing you guys respond back with the green ticks or the stuff that we're collecting every day. It's so cool.
So what's the truth behind this myth, and how can people benefit from understanding it? Maybe from your point of view.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. Because there's truth behind it that we need to move more. Like, we're pretty sedentary lifestyle, but maybe the truth is in that. It's like, move more than what you're currently doing. Not that you need to go find the standard, but wherever you are now, maybe it needs to move a little bit. Like, what is the next logical step that you can fit in that doesn't cause friction or anxiety on trying to make it work? So there's that piece there where you can sort of build on things. That's the big thing. Like, if you go through the lens always of like, can I come back and do this tomorrow? Or like the one we talk about a lot is like, is this a race I want to jump in for the rest of my life? And that will help figure out what things to plug in to your life that you're actually going to enjoy. And once you get that set up, which is what I believe this is the way it should work. Like, once we figure out the movement that you enjoy doing every day, whatever that looks like, once you find enjoyment there, just match the nutrition to that so you can get lean with that amount. And things will change. You might want to seek out more things. You'll have more, might want to go find adventure after a while. And then you match nutrition to that. It's just a more holistic approach and less of like, you need to completely change your life from day dot. It's like, I think that's a big reason why I can't remember the stats anymore, but there's just, it's like 80%, I think, of Australians still are really in the shape they want to be because they just think you have to completely change their life. Well, it's not really like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered that question though.
Well, I like the way that basically we talk about it like, I only have half an hour. Good. Just give Chris 15, right? Just give you 15 minutes.
Yeah. That's like, it's a good analogy. Like, whatever you think you can, like, whatever you think, if I asked you, or if you tell a coach asked you, how much do you think you put to this every day? Whatever you say, divide it by 2 and make it work there. Because then if you have a really shit day, you have a fallback plan, which you go back to. When life's awesome, just do heaps, do everything. It's more, we want to connect the most amount of shit days together where we win.
Yeah.
Because it sounds really bad. I say shit days, like the struggle, the stressful days. Parents all know what we're talking about. We're constantly living in a state of like, kind of stress, kind of not. It's just life. But the amount of, we're not waiting for the miracle day where everything's perfect. We want to connect as many days as we can, shit or not, in a row to achieve the goal. And my thing is like, if I see someone winning when it's life is hard, they're going to make it always. If they know how to show up when life is hard, they're always going to get the result and show up in a way that's not overwhelming. Yeah.
You want to talk about any of your big wins from your clients? Anything that comes to mind in the case study?
Yeah, I use this case study a lot. Stu, the train driver. I don't know if he's going to listen to this, but when we started working together, I think it was like 150, 160 kilos. And when we started, he's like, I hate training. I don't really like personal trainers. I'm not going to do it. And I was like, this is where the whole concept of doing what you enjoy come from. And I was like, cool. And I worked with this guy. He was my boss back when I worked at Hungry Jack's when I first got a job, way back in the day. So I've known him for years. So we had a bit of banter and I could stir him up a little bit. And I think that's what made it easy for him to be transparent with me, where he's like, I don't like personal trainers. Like, I know you're a personal trainer. I like you, but I don't like being like forced to do things I don't like. I'm like, that's cool. So what we did was like, what do you do for work? Train driver. So he sits down a lot. I'm like, cool. So you have to walk to work and walk home from work and wear it back. And that's the starting point. If you find stairs, I want you to go upstairs. Even if it doesn't relate to going to your work, go up the stairs, go back down, and go to work. We did that for ages. And all I did was like, just show me what you're eating and I'll show you how much of that you can eat. And we just did that. And we're still working together now, 2.5 years later. We're down to just over 100 kilos. So we're taking like a really steady approach because he's not a natural guy that will go out and exercise. He's a gamer. He loves model trains, that kind of stuff. That's his thing. So we're trying to build this lifestyle of stuff that he'll enjoy doing. It's not a chore and it will get him to where you want to go. And yeah, like he's got really good results. And it's been challenging for him because he doesn't want to do extra movement to allow him to eat more food. So he has to dial in his food a little bit more. But he still has he has beers and chips and gravy and stuff like that. Like he goes off the rails every now and then. And then we just go back to the rule of thumb. How much are you moving? Let's match it to that. And yeah, that's where I started learning the concept because he was my first real challenging client to say I kind of refused to do any exercise. So I had to learn it with him. And then I started bleeding that concept into everything that I started doing. It's like, what are you currently doing? Let's get results with that. And then build up where we want to go, which is where Build for Adventures come from, is to create excitement in your life, really. Yeah. That was a wordy answer.
Yeah. Excellent. So looking forward to the future, what major trend do you see emerging in your industry over the next 5 years?
AI is going to take over a lot of the programming stuff. There's going to be programs and apps. It's already started happening. There's apps and programs coming out everywhere. Like we talk about macro factor. Mm-hmm. So we both use macro factor. So our Feeling for Fat Loss tool, because the Feeling for Fat Loss is the strategy. Eat less than you, or being in a calorie deficit, whatever way you want to think of it. Eat more, move more, eat less. So we use macro factor because it's an algorithm based, not kind of AI, kind of not, but it's like an app that coaches you through nutrition. You do a daily weigh-in, you give it your daily food. Every week you do a check-in. It changes the calorie targets you shoot for to get to wherever your goal is. And it's really simple. And it creates this idea of energy expenditure. So that's the data you and I are looking at. It's like, how much can we increase our energy expenditure without it causing stress in our lives so we can eat more food while still getting lean? It's literally, it's like kind of like a game. So there's that out there already, which is probably taken over so many coaches' role of giving nutrition advice. Even my own. Like I used to do that for people. Show me how to move, do your daily weigh-in, give me your food and make adjustments. Now this app does it. It costs $20 a month. So all these things which are like tools coaches used to use to get results for people being done by AI and done better. I even went into it and said, build me a high rocks training program for 12 weeks. And it built a program out. I was like, this is actually really good. And I started using bits and pieces for my training. So even I'm using it for that kind of thing. So it's kind of taken the role of what everyone thought coaches were there for, giving you the tools and tactics. Where now the coaches that will rise to the top, I feel, are the ones who understand its behavior change. Mm-hmm. These tools and tactics are all there now with AI, and they're cheaper, but it's the actually act of doing the thing. That is what the coach is for.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I'm going to start seeing over the 5 years. There's going to be a lot of people leaving the coaching industry because they don't know how to facilitate change in people where they want to do it. Not like army drill sergeant just yelling at people. It's more like building a belief in the person who you're coaching to want to create the change for themselves.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the biggest shift in the next 5 years.
Yeah. Maybe you want to touch on that. Like, how do you, with your clients, how do you find yourself getting the buy-in from your client to actually do the work? Any insight there you want to share?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like when I talk to people about working together online, say at Built for Adventure, they're like, I'm just not motivated to do strength training at home. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. You probably just don't like it. What do you like? This is usually the first thing I go to is like, what do you like to do for exercise? Like the dad I talked to this morning, he said it like 5 times in the call. I just really want to get out for a dog walks with my dog. And then it come out, he goes, I used to do this every day. And I started running every day. And I got up to 10K runs most days and 5 days in between, 5Ks in between. And I ended up running over half marathon.
Wow.
Without just wanting to take the dogs for a walk. You know, I wanted to be back to that. So he found his love already. So already I'm like, cool, let's do that. I'll build you a back to running program with your dog. And then your strength work, like when you go past the park, go over there and do these strength exercises and then keep going on your own. He's like, is that it? I'm like, yeah, that's what we want. Like if that feels like if you say to yourself, is that it? That's all I need to do. That's good. Let's go with that. Because it's always like, you can always go more, but we want to, especially with online, working with coach. In person, you're outsourcing motivation, giving your motivation over to the coach. You're paying them to motivate you to show up to the gym. Well, you're paying them you're going to show up. Then they motivate you to do the workout. When you don't, what happens when that gets taken away? Do you still do the thing or do you let it go? What happens in the days in between? Coaching online to build buy-in is like, we want to do stuff that takes no willpower or motivation to do.
Yeah.
You're doing it because you love it. And there's a little trial and testing and stuff with that. But when you find those things you love doing, you don't need to use motivation or willpower to show up anymore. You don't have to worry about, I don't motivated to do this thing at home. It's just finding the thing you love to do and we do more of that. And then the other stuff that we need to support us so you can keep doing that thing you love. So for him, the dad, little bits of strength, 5 minutes of strength while he's out running, just to be able to build a resilient body so he can keep running without injuries. Yeah. And then we can build more on top of that. So yeah, that's pretty much the premise. What is the thing you love doing? Let's figure out how we do that and get results from that.
Love that. Let's talk about the paradigm shift. What fundamental shift in thinking do you believe is necessary in your field?
The gym isn't the only answer.
Yep.
I like going, I don't go to a gym. I train in my garage. I like training and getting strong. But it feels like a lot of coaches out there is like, this is the only way to make things work. This is the only way. And I think it was the only way for them. That's the biggest thing. Like a lot of stuff you see with programs you'll find is the program that worked for them. So really you're jumping into a race that they're in. So you're training to get the finish line that they're optimized for. So you're getting to their finish line. That's not really coaching, I don't think. Where coaching should be is like, where do you want to finish? Like, what's your finish line? Like, cool. How do you want to get there? And then suggesting things that will make it easier to get there faster, more efficiently, all that kind of stuff. It's a bit of a wordy response, but I think when people try stuff and they fail, it's not that you're a failure.
Yeah.
The program wasn't built for you. It wasn't built for your idea of the finish line. You need to have a conversation with a coach about what it is that you want, which is what we talk about, which is like the 2-year things. Like, what is your perfect average day? What do you want to be doing? What are the things you want to do in your life every day? Oh, cool. Let's train for that. And we'll build the system to get you ready for that. And that builds buy-in because it's leading to what they want what their finish line is. Because if you're running down I keep using the finish line analogy. If you're doing this sprint, you're running down it and you're not excited about what's at the end, why are you going to keep going? I was thinking about the analogy with Theo. Theo did athletics on the weekend. And it was his first time doing athletics. He was doing a 100-meter sprint. And when he started seeing other people pass him and realized he wasn't going to get first, the excitement in his face of the sprint went away. So he didn't like the destination he was going to anymore because he wasn't going to be first. So it's finding out, which we're going to discuss with him. It's like, what is the thing that's going to be exciting for you to get to the end, which is like, he's got his current PB. It's just like trying to beat his PB. So he internalized it because he wants to be super fast, super athletic, like a ninja. So that's the finish line we've got to try and build for him and visualize so he can do that. It's the same for adults really. And especially dads, the ones we work with at the moment.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're going to start at that start line and go for this thing, you want to be excited about what's at the end. Because you won't, otherwise you won't get there. So it becomes hard or someone's starting to overtake you on that sprint, you'll bail. But if you're really excited about what's at the end, regardless, you're going to keep going anyway.
Yeah. You want to talk about how you help find people's North Stars, like that destination that they want to get to?
Yeah. It's very different for everybody. We kind of like, I used to think further out. I brought it back now. It's like 2 to 3 years. Like, and we use the story arc. So cool. 2 years time. What do you want to be able to do? Health, fitness wise. What are the things you want to be able to do every day? Like you can go and do these things every day, whatever you want. Like mine's like, I want to be able to do a 20K, 21K run like that. And then jump in a Spartan race within like 4 weeks. I want to have that level of fitness all year round where I can just go, oh yeah, there's a race coming up in 3 weeks. I'm going to go do that. I don't have to think about training up for it. I've already got the capacity to go chase the adventure whenever I want. So that's the health part. Like, what is it that you want to have capacity wise so you can do the things you want? What do you need? And then putting it into a story. Like, what do you do every day story wise? And then the relationship arc, story arc, which is we call Be the Man for the dads. Like, what do you want to do with your family every day? How you want to show up for your family every day? What are you doing with them every day? How are you checking in with them? All that kind of stuff. What kind of things, again, building a story, like I wake up every morning and have brekkie with the kids, all that kind of stuff. Like those things are really important to build in. And then the prosperity arc, which is the perfect average day, which is exactly what we're building. Like, what do you want if you could live this day every day, it feels like you're retired, but you're working and everything, but you absolutely love the life you're living. And you can do this anyway because you're living your perfect average day every day. We get those stories down and create, like, there's excitement for it. It's like, cool. What does that person do every day to be that? And then that's the program, that's the system, that's the stuff we put in the frameworks, all that stuff. We build that into your life now. So you're collecting proofs that you already are that person. which is
You
it's fun. That's the fun part.
you want to touch on those difficult conversations that nobody else wants to have? Like, what does that mean to you? What does that look
Yeah.
like?
So I'm laughing because you and I talk about this off the air all the time. Like, we see you trying all these things, diets, training plans, running programs, and like, even like relationship building stuff, like relationship with yourself, trying all these things, but nothing seems to want to work. You can't seem to make it work and you don't know why. And you start talking about being a failure. Like, I'm just the negative self-talk, like I'm useless. I can't make these things work. There's something wrong with me. Like, nah, it's just, which is what we start talking about is like, there's this shadow version of you that's literally sabotaging your shit, like the stuff you want to do in your life, which is just past behaviors which were protective back then and helped you survive, that have come to whatever's going on now, which is stopping you from doing stuff. And what we do, the conversation like no one wants to have is like understanding why you're not going to how this shadow version of you is not going to allow you to make it work, and how to overcome the shadow. Not so much battle it and kill it, but how to show up as a better version of you, which is like, we call it the hero. How to show up as your heroic self, which is collecting proof that you are this person. And you're telling your brain, which makes you want to fall back to these past behaviors, these shadow behaviors. It wants you to stay the same. And the hero shows up, does the work, collects proof to rewrite the story, to tell the brain, I'm okay, it's safe. This is what I really want. And it's not until that happens, we believe, until you connect that mind to behavior and your actions, that nothing will ever stick. You can do stuff for a little bit, but it'll always fall away because your brain will get you back to your baseline, your current baseline. So yeah, what we do is we create these two versions of you. What's the shadow version? The part you don't really like and the one you want to kind of put on the shelf and let sit there. There's still traits it has that are good. You might need to call on them every now and then, but you just want to put it on the shelf so you can show up as this version of you really want to be, which is this version of you that you projected out 2 years from now. Let's start working towards that.
Yeah.
I think I answered that. Did I answer that all right?
Yeah. Beautifully, brother. Let's talk about rapid results. So what's the quickest win you typically help clients achieve?
I think we do get quick wins on the scale for people who want weight loss. I think it's important for buy-in. I know there's a lot of talk around it, like it's not about that, it's about longevity and stuff like that. But we need a catalyst to build buy-in really quickly. So we don't do anything crazy to get quick wins. We just get wins. Like, we don't want to go a week or the max 2 weeks without getting results on the board. That's the longest we will allow anyone to go without getting a result on the board. With a result on the board, I mean, it's like scale weight or improvements in performance or whatever. But we do that first. So to get buy-in to the program and that you have trust in the system that works. That's the main thing. And I think it's really important. And the other one is like, we do everything we can to help you make you feel good as fast as possible. So we do, like we were talking about at the beginning, where we collect proof of you showing up as this person you want to be, and visual proof, like literally green ticks that say to you every day that you're collecting wins, and makes you feel really good about yourself. And when you feel good, good things happen. So that can happen as quick as in like a couple of days for some people. We get that really quickly. So for us in the back end, we want to get these feel good mindset, performance-y kind of stuff. Like, we want you to perform at the best you can. And that only happens when you feel good. And yes, we also get work on making sure you get results on the scoreboard as well, whatever that looks like. We connect those two together to build buy-in really, really quick, which is what we need. Everyone wants to see proof as fast as possible, and we try and facilitate that at the most within 2 weeks, but generally it's within a week.
Yeah, definitely. I saw results within a week, basically, for me.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy seeing that. It was cool.
Yeah. How do you help clients overcome their initial skepticism though about this approach?
This is a tough one. It's very much like what we say, go play in the sandbox. It's natural human behavior to be skeptical of something we don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
We don't actually know if something works unless we go do the thing. So this is why we created the concept of the safety net or the mini habits, where if you do at least these mini versions of the things that we try to implement, it's going to get you to your goal no matter what. It just has a long time frame. So that's your fallback plan. If you don't fall below this, you're going to make it. And that's how I try and get past the skepticism. It's like, all you need to do is this. This is the bare minimum. If you can give me that, it's guaranteed to get you to the goal. Then everything else you do on top of that will bring the finish line in faster or closer. Not so much faster, but it brings the finish line closer to you. Mm-hmm. So I think it cuts through like, oh, is this going to work for me kind of thing? It's like, yeah, if you can give the time, this is going to work. And that's where with that whole getting the results quickly on the board inside that 1 to 2 week period. So there's proof in their head, like, oh, this does work. And then the art of showing up is much easier once you've got proof that you know that what you're doing is going to get you there.
Yeah.
And then it's the conversation no one wants to have after that, the shadow work and the hero work. Like the skepticism is shadow work. Mm-hmm. And we need to unpack that to allow you to feel good and show up for the stuff you want to show up for.
That's so good, brother. And how can you help people identify their first domino to push over? How do you do that?
Yeah, so we've got like the 9 steps to Build for Adventure. So we've got the Build for Adventure training piece is strength builder, engine builder, and adventure words. So generally we do a bit of a triage. Like, what are you doing movement wise at the moment? And there's those 3, we go through those 3 things to see where the gaps are. And that could be the first movement-based thing that we plug in. And then nutritionally, it kind of goes through the lens of like the no workout approach, which sounds really weird because we're talking about nutrition, but it's daily activity. How much are you moving? And we just sort of look at that and we go, cool, fueling for fat loss or performance. And we match that nutrition to the movement. So we see what it is that you're currently eating, see how much you're currently moving, and make the tweaks. So they're the first kind of things we sort of tick through. Then the next piece after that is the diet detective in our 9 steps. So that's the last nutrition step where it's a bit of a catch-all, but we start plugging in things like if it's fasting, we need to plug in circadian rhythm eating where you're eating in daylight only, meals that are like more protein, veggies. Like it's all these different tools we have based on the person. We only bring them in once the first 2 are kind of set in place. And then the last steps is like getting shit done, re-energize to motivate, and the art of showing up, which is the 3 big pieces of being able to get to do all this stuff we're talking about. And getting shit done is like how to get this stuff done around busy dad life.
Yeah.
Re-energize to motivate is to allow you to come back with the most energy every day to allow motivation to thrive. And the art of showing up is just to make sure we never miss 2 and we get to the goal. If we never miss 2, you can have a bad day, but never miss 2, you're always going to get there. So they're the 9 steps. And generally when someone comes in, I go through just asking questions about what they're doing, all that kind of stuff, like kind of triaging and seeing what is the most important thing to plug in right now. And we plug that step in. And then we just go to the next step and we build those 9 steps into their lives. So it's easy to show up for.
Nice. If you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice when you started in this field, what would it be?
training isn't as important as I thought it was. It's good because I like it. And I used to be very much like training is the thing. You can now train your diet. You can until you have kids, and then you can't because you don't have enough time. Then it would be like that. And then it'll be also like, I was a paleo guy. I was a carb cycling guy, Atkins guy. I did all those things and I pushed them on to clients as well as like, this is your answer. You know, and I didn't believe in like calorie tracking either. Like, you don't need to do that. Do this thing, do these diets. And these diets work until they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, then you go try another diet because that one stopped working. And then it wasn't until I became a dad, and when I first became a dad, I was still doing crazy diets at first. And then one year I was just like, I've had enough. I just want to eat whatever I can eat with the kids at dinner, and I can play around with the rest of my food. I'm just going to hand over control to an app. I mean, tell her I'm just going to eat whatever I feel like, just put in this thing. It's going to give me targets every week, and I'm just going to stick to it. So I get freedom to eat, and it's going to get me where I want to go. So that's where I started making the change of like, why do we need to make it harder?
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing. Like, I made things so hard, like made things challenging for clients when it didn't need to be. Like, we don't need to make this hard. You get to choose where you put your challenge. You can put it here, but for me, I don't want to put challenge around dinner times with the family to make myself go eat steak and eggs while they're eating pasta. I'd rather put my challenge in my exercise or in building my career, put those challenges there and make the nutrition thing as simple and as easy as possible. And that's what we want to do. We're like, where do you want your challenge? Let's put it there and make this stuff support that. I think, yeah, if I went back in time, I would imagine that, like taking what I know now and giving it back to my 20-year-old self. Oh, that'd be crazy. Like, I think I looked at it the other day. I am leaner now at 39 and fitter than I was at 29.
Wow.
I was deep in my alcoholism then, but yeah, I was looking at photo comparisons and it was pretty crazy.
That's fantastic, man. What is one often looked barrier to success in this field?
As in from a client perspective, like a barrier getting a success in their weight loss.
Let's talk about that.
The stories. There's the stories they tell themselves that sabotage them all the time. Because we now know what works. And scientifically, it works for everyone. It's the whole thing. It works if you do. The biggest thing is that the stories that play around in people's heads self-sabotage them from doing the actions that make those things work. And yeah, there's like nuances to that where like tweaking the actions to suit the person's personality type and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's these stories that run around in your head that sabotage you from doing the stuff that you want to be able to do. And unrealistic expectations from those stories as well, where you have a high expectation and you aren't able to meet it, and then sabotages you from showing up more often.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing. It's the internal stories that trip people up the most.
Well, I know we're coming up to time, so
that's good. I like that. That was fun.
Yeah.
I think every week there'll be questions coming in from the Build for Adventure crew in the community. And then if you guys, anyone listening has got questions, fire them at us. We're going to do this every week. And yeah, it's a fun kind of episode. And I'm going to hit you up with some questions too, especially with the new book coming. Just try to drop that on there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anything you want to sign off with people before we wrap it up?
No. If you don't know, Chris been doing this for over 15 years. He's a coach of coaches, someone I trust, good dad, and a good friend.
Thanks, man. Yeah, Build for Adventure. Want to check it out? Show note. Look in the show notes. There's links to go check it out. If you click the link in the show note, you can get a 2-week trial into the Build for Adventure community. Dads, come in. We want you in there. We're going to have a weekly Zoom where you can come on. We're going to teach a concept, and then we're going to have Q&A where you can just ask questions about whatever. You can jump on live, and you can catch the replays too. But yeah, we're growing. It's fun. It's really enjoyable. We're doing stuff that we all want to do, whatever our adventures are. We've got a guys doing like multi-day bike packing where he's taking his bike up crazy mountains. I'm getting ready for some obstacle races in the year. There's a guy who's doing downhill mountain biking. Rick's doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu, even though he's popped a rib recently. He's getting into that. Like everyone's got their own adventure. So you come in with your adventure and we'll all help achieve them. Does that make sense?
Man. Yeah.
All right. All right, everybody. See you guys next week. See you guys.
Bye. Bye.